Hey, everybody, welcome to the Ranting Cast. I'm the guest, and that's the host, Frank. Frank, that way. How you doing, Frank?
Doing all right. How about you?
I'm doing good. It's the first time we've been on together in a while. We've been kind of sharing the duties here with different
Yeah.
guests we've had, between vacations and everything else. So, but it's good to be back on with you, and then, so how you been?
Yeah, I mean, just besides doing this, just chilling and working pretty much. Got ready for tomorrow at least.
Yeah, tomorrow's a big night. Randy Cast will be live at Dave and I almost said Dave and Buster's. Dave and
Uh-huh.
Adams tomorrow over on Sheridan Drive. I know you can't make it, but I'll have a couple of other people there with me, a couple of our other hosts with me. So, and that's a base hit. I'm sorry. Hey, so look, I can watch a little baseball now if I want, So it's that time of year. I think so what? Tomorrow night, the hockey season it will ended on Stanley Cup night. Is tomorrow night the first night of the new season? Is that how this works?
I don't know. I don't really pay attention to like when the league year
Oh
starts.
no, I just meant for us. Overall. You know, I think I don't know. I consider it's draft. It's a new day. So I like
Sure.
to. I like that's how I guess how I figure it. So. So you're excited about the draft? I think it's NHL draft's always very interesting.
It's always very interesting, and especially with the Sabres having 3 picks now, you wonder what they're looking at with those 3 picks. So that's probably the more exciting part about it.
Right. There's some talk that Adams might move up. There's talk that they're
I don't
not going to
believe any
move.
of that.
Yeah, I don't. I. It doesn't happen in hockey very much at all. I mean, there's talk. Well, they can probably package the 28th or 26 or 28th, 26.
28.
Oh, 28th. They can package the 28th along with the ninth and move to two if New Jersey's guy isn't there,
No.
which means, well, does that mean Shane Wright's not the consensus number one? They're just saying Montreal's looking at there's three possibilities. So I mean, you know, I guess anything can happen, but right, no one really knows except for Adams and Carmanos, I imagine.
Yeah, I don't believe any of the trade up rumors just because it really doesn't make sense for the team. I mean, just take 3 guys or at least like take someone at 9, take someone at 16 and I mean, I'm not opposed to the idea of trading out of 28 and like moving back at that point, but if
Right,
they're going to make 3 picks tomorrow night, just make 3 picks tomorrow night. Like,
right. Yeah, tomorrow night's just the first round, right?
yeah.
All right. So, yeah, Sabres can, 28 could pretty much throw a dart. It could be, who knows. But number nine's interesting because, first of all, do you think Shane Wright goes number one for sure? You think it's a lot of smoke screen? Or is there some real truth that there's not a real consensus number one? Kind of like the Patrick Nolan year. Everyone said Nolan was number one. I said, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't. And he did go number one.
No, I think it's all smokescreen. Shane Wright should be the number one pick. He's a guy who's expected to be a number one center in the NHL for years. And Montreal, I just think wouldn't be smart to pass up on that and pair him with Nick Suzuki for the next number of years as your top 2 centers going forward. And that's what you build your franchise around. When it starts at the center position, you work your way around that. So
Absolutely.
the idea of not taking him at number one, it just doesn't seem right. And plus, too, they have the first. It's in Montreal. That the draft is in Montreal. Why would they pass up the opportunity to make the first overall pick where they are hosting? Especially
Exactly.
getting a guy who is that highly regarded in Shane Wright. I love Slakowski as well. I think he's going to project to be a very high scoring winger, and I just don't think that's as valuable as Shane Wright.
Right. Wingers, yeah, centers are always more valuable because players can shift around. I mean, NHL's changed a lot where the center guy often plays off to the side. They kind of move around parts, but you're right. The center has got to be, not just face offs, but they got to see the whole, everything when they're playing and right to take a winger over a center, unless the winger was just that much better. Which in this case is probably really hard to say, but probably not. Yeah, I think Montreal would be weird if they didn't. And that would leave New Jersey probably taking Jarov Slavosky then, right?
That's what I'm expecting. Yes.
All right. And then at third, it looks like some mock drafts have Logan Cooley going to the Coyotes. He's another center, or your guy
Yeah.
Nemec going
Yeah, I'm
defenseman.
expecting Arizona to go with Cooley. It just if that's one of those picks where I just feel that with where the Coyotes are at right now, they're better off taking a perennial number one center to pair with Clayton Keller, who is going to be coming off of a broken leg from last
Right.
season. I mean, it's good to see him skating again too, which is great. But has having those two as your two guys to build around just makes a ton of sense. I can see Arizona possibly taking Nemish as well. Um, I feel like they would draft the forward first.
Yeah, because it's probably a bigger need for them. Where like last year, Buffalo took power because well, he was the sense number one, and they had needs everywhere. So and then that would go. That would mean the next pick would go to Seattle, and they could take
Seattle's where
anybody.
I see Nemish going.
That would make
Definitely.
sense.
I don't see Nemish sliding past Seattle.
All right. And do you think? I'm trying to think. There's Sabres defenseman who they took off Buffalo. Um,
Borgen.
yeah, Borgen. Does he have a future on that team? Because he didn't play much last year till after.
I mean, I don't know what Seattle's future is
With
realistically because they just keep adding guys and not really doing much with them.
yeah, it sounds like the bottle effect going on there. So, all right, so we slide down to Sabres. Let's just say no trades are happening at all in this draft, and we talk mostly about 9 and 16. 28th is a crapshoot, so you can name 15 guys, and the odds of you being right are probably right. So at 9, what position do you think is they're most likely looking at? Because depth wise, the defense is not that deep, especially in anywhere else outside the organization, outside of Buffalo. Our prospect pool is very weak defensively, which 2 years ago you wouldn't have said that, but now all those boys are up here now. And you think that your six players, unless they make obviously a trade, but the six guys, with Bryson Fitzgerald in the top four, and then you have the other four. Do you think the Sabres go defense at 9 or forward, or is it really going to depend who's there?
It really depends on who's there, but I'm going off the assumption that Nemish is going to go in the top five, and then the other top defenseman, David Juracek, who's also a right shot D, is also going to go like right before the Sabres. I'm projecting him to go either Philly at 5 or probably Ottawa at 7. I don't really see him. I don't really see him going past that. If he's there, if Juracek's there at 9, I would definitely go for it. But I don't see him being there, so I think they're going to look at forward at that position. Now, who? That's the question, because you have plenty of options. It really just depends on how the draft board falls.
Right.
Because
Savoy is the name. I've been hearing
you have Savoy,
that's
you
the big
have
name.
Marco Casper, you have a Russian that a lot of people are talking about is Danila Yurov, and obviously with the situation with Russia, we just
Right.
don't know if you're gonna ever see these guys, or
Right.
if you are, is it gonna be like 5 or 6 years from now? And you gotta ask yourself, is it worth it at that point?
Right.
Yeah, Savoy, Cutter Gauthier is another guy. Um, I wonder about Frankie Nazar because NHL.com right now has him ranked as the at 21st among North American players. I like him a lot higher. I think he should go top 10 personally. So I think it could be any one of those guys that the Sabres would take.
And a couple of those guys, one of them could be there at 16 also.
Yeah.
You know?
You're also looking at guys like Connor Geeky and Brad Lambert as well. I think both those guys seem a lot like reclamation projects in a way because Lambert's kind of been bouncing around the Finnish league, and but when he was on the Finnish junior team in the under 20s, he was the best player on the team. But then he goes and plays in the pro league, and he looks completely out of place. He doesn't look like he belongs. So you just have to wonder, like, can you put him on a right development path? Because I think he's got a really high ceiling. He needs to be in the right situation for him to unlock it. And if the Sabres feel like that they could unlock that and they want to take him at 16, I'd say go for it. And I feel the same way about Connor Geeky. His biggest flaw in his game right now has been his skating, and that's been the case for all year. So I wonder if the Sabres would look at that and think, well, we had a guy whose biggest flaw when we drafted him was skating, and that was Matthias Samuelsson, and now
Yep.
look at him. So you wonder, and he's got the offensive upside already, and so you just wonder if they would try to swing for the fences again on one of those guys. Which, if
I
they decide to at 16, I'm all for it.
The only concern is because we still are really a building team, taking on a reclamation project. Can we really afford to do that? I mean, a team like Tampa Bay, Florida, those teams, they can do it. Can Buffalo really afford to do that? 16 is still
You
kind of
have three
high.
first-round picks. You might as well, and realistically in the NHL, you just don't know what's going to happen with these guys, and you got to develop them properly. That's all. That's all what it takes. I mean, you look at David Pastrnak in 2014. He was a late first-round pick for Boston,
Yep.
and look at he's one of the best forwards in the league as a result. And you could go with this. You could go with a bunch of safe picks, which is perfectly fine. But
Well, NHL,
would
are there any
you?
really safe picks? I mean, it's all a crapshoot. If you're after
It's
the
all
top
yeah, but
five,
that's exactly it though. It's all a crapshoot. So there's nothing wrong with taking your chances. If you want to go with more of a safer pick, like if Savoy's there at 9, take him. Absolutely. If Nazar does drop and you want to take him at 9, by all means, take him. If you
right.
want to take the chance and take Urov as well, or even Marco Casper if he falls, like by all means, go ahead. But there's nothing wrong with also wanting to take a chance on a guy who you're just not sure if he's going to ever project as high. But if you think you can do that and you want to use a 16th pick on it, I'd say go for it. Why not?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, whoever you pick at 16 is probably 2 years away, no matter what, depending. I mean, you might get a lucky and
Even the
get a
guy you
lucky
pick at
player, but
9 could be 2 years away as well.
that's very true. And then especially in this draft, unless we're picking top 3 or 4, we're not, unlikely we're going to see the way they're doing it. It'd be a year away. It's not like where Power. I really don't want them picking at college guys. So after we really don't know. Porto's not even talked about. Even everyone talks about Levi now. It's almost like all the sportscasters, all the local guys are like, it's all about Levi now. Get to bridge to him when you pick up a goalie. So will Portillo be out? And I think just college ranks are gonna start to sting a little bit for certain teams. It just starts to become more of a trend. So yeah, at 16, right? You never. I mean, these guys are smart people. I believe Kevin
Yeah.
Adams is smart. Carmel smart. They do have probably one of the better analytics teams in the league now. They're probably one of the better front offices in the league now. Adams has really surrounded himself with some strong people in the last year, where us maybe a year and a half ago, we would sit there and say, oh, yeah, we're going to take Kevin Adams. He has no help. I mean, this guy's never been a GM before. Pretty much, but nothing but working, Harbor Center employee. So we didn't know much about him, but it doesn't mean he can't be a good GM. And so far, he hasn't done anything wrong. It seems like he's doing a lot of right. Let's look at 28 for a minute. Would there be a goalie you consider them to take at 28?
No,
Or is it not a goalie at all in the first round?
I don't think there's a first round goalie. I don't even think there's a second round goalie as well. I think when it comes to all the goal, it's not even that it's bad. It's just it's just the value. I mean, you could take. If they're gonna take a goalie, just do it in like the 5th round. Why not? I mean, I have no problem with them drafting a goalie. I just wouldn't do it in like the first 2 rounds. At the highest, I would probably go is like the 4th.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, there's not the talk of like a Spencer Knight. I couldn't.
There's no Spencer Knight. There's no Askarov. There's no Wallstead or Kosa. There's not even a Carter Hart or a Luukkonen, really. I mean, there could be a Luukkonen, but it's not a second round Luukkonen. It's probably like a 4th or 5th round Luukkonen, more than likely that you're getting.
I wonder how much, and I'm thinking about the same with the NFL draft, is this is a year that really a lot of the players about to graduate might have missed a lot of hockey because of the pandemic.
Yes.
You can get you might get someone that, like you said, reclamation, or boy, I haven't done much. But boy, if they had all that time, maybe a guy we get 16 or 28 could have been a top 15 or a top 12 guy. The guy who takes
Yeah,
16th could have been. I mean, now it's going to be. You believe that you actually we're on the same page. You think COVID really kind of screwed a lot of this up this year? Because I'm feeling the same way. Maybe the NFL draft. That's why there's no quarterbacks.
I mean, it's screwed up the last 2 years for a lot of these guys. I mean, at least a year, but it screwed up 2 years as well
Right.
for a lot of these kids. So you wonder if any of these kids who were drafted in like the second round probably should have been higher if they had been playing more games. I mean, Shane Wright lost a whole year
Yep.
of playing, and a lot of people saw the season he had this year and was like he should have been better. It was like, well, he lost a year. The season he just had in Kingston was probably the season he was supposed to have at 16 years old, but he had that at 17. So like I'm thinking, I wonder how many of these players who are drafted tomorrow night or even tomorrow and Friday even make the NHL roster right away at 18 years old. I'm not even putting the guarantee that Shane Wright is even on Montreal to start the year. I think he will because Montreal is going to need to sell that. But realistically, when it comes to these kids' development, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Montreal decided, you know what, we'll give him another year in the OHL because he was supposed to have that, and we'll let him dominate there. So I wouldn't be surprised if Wright goes back to Kingston for next season, and even Cooley, even Slafkovsky, even Nemish. Nemish is a guy who I think should be in the NHL right away.
Yeah.
But even then, like, I'm not putting a guarantee on it.
You wonder. This is why maybe you keep all three picks because you get a guy 28 that, well, if
Yeah.
everything never would have been normal, this is the guy we're taking 20. Maybe, and of course they won't know. It's going to be a guesswork. But if our scouts and our team and if everyone is doing their homework, and everyone should be doing their homework, then everyone, we might sit there and say, well, why are they taking this guy at 9 or why are they taking this guy at 16? What they see in him? Well, we didn't get to see anything of them because they didn't play. So a lot of it's going to be talking to the coaches of these players, from the minor leagues and all this stuff. It's after I think what you got the top 3 or 4, they're going to go a lot on some video scouting from the previous, going on what they just seen in the last year. You're right, losing a year. Some teams, hopefully it's Buffalo, might get really lucky with the player saying, how
Does
like
a
the
lot.
right? Like let's use the Brenda Cat as an example, not the situation, but he went the second round because of side, blah, and then look, maybe we'll take a player like why what do they see or what do they know about him, and that guy becomes like, wow, he could have been top 10 and we got him at 16. We need a break. Buffalo definitely needs a break like that at 16 and 28. Not so much 9. If a guy makes it at 9, you kind of expect that. If a guy
Yeah.
makes it if anything over 16, not too many Olafsons out there, so that's gonna be really interesting, and I just kind of excited to see what's gonna happen here. Now, Buffalo does make a trade up, that would shock a lot of people. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't expect a trade up from the Sabres at all from any of those picks, so I would definitely be shocked if they did.
Yeah, if anything, maybe they traded away for which I really go into our next topic is obviously we've been talking a lot, about goalies either on Twitter, me and you or other people we've talked. I know you talked to other people. Goaltending in Buffalo's biggest problem. The free agency market, there's really only a couple of goalies, But I had this thought, and I wanted to bring this up to you tonight, was there's 30 NHL teams, right? Yeah, there's 30 NHL teams, and so that means there's 29 other teams that have a backup goalie. And I keep thinking of like, okay, so you look at each team's backup goalie, how many of them could be a legitimate starter on some other team, maybe? If they, could they be a starter on a team if their goalie wasn't blocking them? And the player I go back to, currently I'm thinking of Colorado's backup, the French guy, but I'm thinking about a player. Remember when Marty Brown was backing up Miller and we traded for him to Philadelphia for a first round pick, and we made the trade because, well, Miller wasn't going to go anywhere for a long time. Baran, it wasn't fair to keep him at a backup, but he really could have been a starter like he was. I don't know if his career went as far as it did, but a team noticed that, hey, there's a backup goalie. Is there a backup goalie? I don't know how much research you've done on it. A backup goalie that Buffalo could target that you say, boy, that's a guy that can actually start for us. And I'm going to start off with a Colorado backup goalie who I never really heard him much until the playoffs when he had to come in the playoffs when Kemper got hurt.
I mean, you're thinking of France, so
yeah, I said the French guy, but is he French? He's French. It's got to be French.
I don't think he is. He might be. I'm not sure.
Sounds French.
I I don't think Colorado would move Franco personally. I think they like him too much. He's also Czech, by the way. Um, but in terms of goalies that you could trade for, I mean, I've been talking about a few different guys. Like Varlamov has always been my number one from the Islanders. 1 year left at $5 million. He's at that age where he's probably not the guy anymore, but he could still at least like carry the load for the most part for the Sabres. And also the Islanders could use that cap space to improve their team for now because that's kind of what they're trying to
How old is
do.
he now?
Varlamov, oh, he's in his like early 30s.
So that would be a bridge guy to get to
No
Levi.
matter
Like,
who the Sabres get, it's gonna be a bridge guy. It's just a matter of who that is, whether it's via trade or free agency. So like Varlamov is one. Recently, San Jose's goalies have been getting talked about, and a lot of people are looking at the idea of James Reimer because same reason, and I believe he's got 1 year left on his deal as well. Um,
Adams and Greer know each other.
yeah, I mean connection is connection. He would have so it's not out of the possibility, but it's like with Varlamov and Reimer, both guys have modified no trade clauses, so you don't know if they would even accept a trade to Buffalo
Right.
in that
Real quick
case.
on that, on Mike Greer, congratulations. Getting a general manager job duty. He's actually never been even an assistant GM, so he is the first black general manager in NHL hockey. So congrats on that, and a former Sabre, which is really cool.
Yeah,
It's nice to
love it.
see, that guys that know a lot, and he's supposed to be a very smart guy. And I guess Chris Drury gave him a lot of accolades and gave him a really good review to become a GM. So congrats to Mike Greer. But right, modified no trades. But these guys seem to never really hold those. They willing to go anywhere to play hockey.
Yeah, but then it's like Nazem Kadri a few years ago actually nixed a trade to Calgary, and accepted a trade to Colorado because he has that no trade clause, and it was only I mean like we kind of knew about it for a couple of years, but that's really been talked about recently. Is like yeah, I mean it just depends on the team, it depends on the player.
Right.
Like they'll submit the list, but then if a team that's not on the list comes to you for an offer, like the players got no say about it because they're not on the list.
Right.
So
Right. And
you just wonder how much if Buffalo is even on those lists.
right. And they might say, listen, James Reimer, we're talking to every team. Buffalo's really the only team interested where you can actually have a starting role. There's no one interested, and you're not going to start here. That's why he may do it. I mean, sometimes you just go, well, I'd rather be starter than a backup here, and no one else. I mean, obviously his agent's going to know, say, hey, listen, I really just no one's interested in you, or them or Winnipeg, which one, type thing. So that's why I said they do it so they have a little, but I still think sometimes when you see a guy, who's the last person that's wages no trade to come to Buffalo? I can't think. There was a recent player that came here. No one thought he would do that, but he did. So
I have no idea.
it's been a while. You never know. Sometimes you just never know. A goalie might sit there and say, "Hey, I want to be part of something cool." It's hard to read minds. We sit there and look, oh, but who want to come to Buffalo? But and they look at the Bills. Everyone wants to come to Buffalo. So if
That's
the
what happens
team's
when you
good,
win.
yep, you gotta win. And like I said, it might be, hey, no one else wants you. You're not going to be a starter here. There's your chance to start. And same with Campbell. They might go to Campbell and say, hey, listen, you're a free. Jack Campbell. Hey, listen, you'll be a free agent. Buffalo wants you for 2 years. Sign 2 years. You can
That's not
still.
going to happen.
Yeah, but let's just say Buffalo goes, hey, we'll give you $10 million for 2 years. Each year $10 million. Then you're a free agent again, and then our team might get a second lottery contract, maybe. Who knows? I like Husso in the free agent market, but I think they're going to have to go the trade route. I really do. And anyone else out there back up for anybody? I mean, I know Columbus has got all those goalies, but I don't think any of them are
Yeah,
good.
Columbus has 3 goalies as well, but like I don't really want any of them. I mean, I'd love to have
Right.
Merzlikins probably, but that's it. I mean, Tarasov is too young to figure out, and you already have Luukkonen, and Korpisalo is just not that good.
Right.
So I don't want any one of them. Someone in the comments mentioned Georgiev. I don't want Georgiev at all. I don't think Georgiev's all that good, and I think the Rangers are asking for too much for him. So that's just a non-starter. That's a non-starter for me anyway.
But it's a good name to bring up. Thank you.
It's a good name to bring up because it's a guy who's been in the trade market for the last like 2 or 3 years, but he's not a he hasn't been what warrants trading for him. Like it's the way the way it sounded like the Rangers want like a prospect and like a high draft pick for him, and he's not even worth like the high draft pick.
Right.
I in the trade market, you got to at least find the value somewhere. I can't even justify John Gibson because
Yeah.
I think the only way you can justify trading for John Gibson is what's Anaheim paying me to take him.
Right.
You know, like the
That's
Sabres
exactly
got a
it.
seventh round pick for taking the rest of Ben Bishop's contract. Like,
Right.
what's Anaheim gonna pay me to take the rest of Gibson? I just don't see Gibson as like the guy anymore. And he could prove me wrong for all I know, but what has he done the last 3 years to
Yep.
warrant it? Maybe I could be talked into Jonathan Quick from LA, but LA's got cap space and they're in a situation where they don't really need to trade Quick because they still have Peterson. So
Yeah.
if LA is like we're going for like another big gun in free agency and we need to clear some cap space, so we need to trade Jonathan Quick, then maybe I could be
All
talked
right.
into that.
Yeah.
Um,
I disagree with this comment. Anderson signing stopped a lot of possibilities. I don't agree with that at
no,
all. I don't think it did. I don't think it did a thing. So they
no,
signed him. So
I
what?
think it, I think signing Craig Anderson just ensures the fact that at
They have a
very
goalie.
worst, or not Omar, Lukanen starts in Rochester next
Right.
season
Anderson will
as a
probably be more of a
starter,
backup.
and yeah, and like let them both compete. Like I would be worried if Anderson it just plains out beats Lukanen for the backup job. I'd be very worried, but
Yep.
at the same time, like Lukanen's got to stay healthy as
Yep.
well,
Yep.
and
And hopefully this will be what he does.
I think if he was healthy last season and he would have gotten a lot more games than what he did. And I don't think they're signing Craig Anderson because they're
Yep.
like, we got Lukanen. Like
All
we're
right.
gonna resign Lukanen. He's gonna at the very least be our 1B.
Yeah, and
Um,
look at and just because we have Anderson does not mean he has to even play. He's a good insurance policy, but he might not decide if he wants to play. And Buffalo say, hey, let's assign you. Come season time, we'll see how things go in preseason. We'll see how it's going, and if we make a trade or whatever, he may still announce his retirement. But signing him
he
was kind of a
could.
cool thing to do. I mean,
It's
it's
just
hard to say.
it's like you said, it's an insurance policy. That's all what it
Yep.
is.
Yeah, I don't think it did anything. I'm gonna throw a name out. Somebody brought this up to me yesterday, out there, and I thought it was, you know, thank you. The thing about Facebook is, and when you join us with Facebook, it asks you if you want to allow your name, and if it says Facebook user, it means you didn't allow your name, so we can't thank you. I will know after the show who you are because when I go back on our website for our Facebook site, it'll tell me all the names. So, but thank you for these questions. They're very good questions. Um, name that some what do you call it? Threw out there. My friend Robbie, he threw out there. Gregoretti. He said Braden Holtby.
Yeah, I'd be down for Braden Holtby as well. It's just you have to wonder if
Hey, is that your buddy Max Sigler?
that
Would
might
that
be
be?
that might be.
Yeah, maybe not
Um,
watching. Watch on Twitter. We'll get your name
you
better.
if I mean so Holtby. I'd be down to giving Holtby a couple years, and letting him be the guy here. It's just because he's a free agent, so you have to wonder if would he consider even coming here. I mean, that's really all what it is. Like I'm for the idea of Darcy Kemper as well. If he doesn't resign in Colorado, I'd be for the idea of like I said, James Reimer. But it's just all depending on can you get one of these guys to come here, or are you going down the route of another cheap goalie like Arundel or Tokarski again? And if you're doing that, you're only going that route if you can't get a guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say had nothing to do with money at all. It won't have to. It'll be like, oh, we can't get anybody. I wonder if there's somebody out there in the Swedish league who's maybe 27 years old, never had an NHL chance. I mean, there's got, but again, all these backup goalies. I wish I would have come up with a list, but again, I wouldn't know half of them. Like, who's a Winnipeg Jet backup goalie behind Hellebuck? I wouldn't know.
Oh, Eric
Calgary's
Comrie.
back. Who?
Eric Comrie.
Oh, so
He's another one of those like secondhand options.
right. Oh, I'm saying with the back, is there any backup goalie that could be a considerable starter that can play maybe 45 games and give Luukkonen the other 35 or so? Or does Luukkonen maybe steal? I mean, again, now there are possibilities. Luukkonen can steal the show, really do good in preseason, and be the starter they want him to be, play 50 games, and then you have Anderson playing your 32. That would be the best option. Of course, they won't notice until it's probably it'd be the only option they have if they don't pick up a goalie. So
I
is
just
there?
don't know the possibility of that too, because I'm starting to think that more teams around the league are starting to just keep two good goalies. They're going to go towards this 1A 1B a lot more
Yep.
often. Like some teams are going to have that elite number one, but where they really don't need like a quality backup. But most teams need a quality backup
Right.
nowadays.
Right. The 100
Really
Lundqvist and Miller's playing 70
a lot.
games isn't a thing.
It's a lot more tougher to get a goalie. Like we mentioned San Jose, they have three goalies. So, but I wouldn't blame them at all if they were like, we're just going to keep all three. I wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't blame Columbus for being like, we're going to keep our three goalies,
Right.
and not trade them. I
You're an
probably
injury
want
away.
another option with Matt Murray, but do you really want Matt Murray? Not really.
What's funny was he actually had decent numbers. I don't know wherever. I think it was in the minors. We can probably get him for nothing. I wouldn't mind. That was the name I was going to bring up to him. They decided, why not? I mean, he'd be better than anything we have. I don't know. I mean, you just don't know. You hope to strike gold with somebody. When you said two goalies with two teams. Remember Minnesota Wild? You said the two was Fernandez and the other goalie.
Dwayne Rolison for
Was it Dwayne? Was that? I was thinking about it. Was it really Rolson?
I remember.
Dang. They would play split.
Yeah.
They were like when Buffalo had Solvay and Edwards. It would split 40 games each. Right down the middle. It just seemed like bad luck. We're going to strike gold eventually here. I wish you would know what would have happened with Portillo. I think it would have made who we signed as a free agent could have a little bit different too. Not knowing probably changed a little bit how they're going to sign. They may take a goalie and sign for 3 years. Campbell might say, "I'll come to Buffalo. 3 years, $9 million a year." Buffalo may have to eat that and just say, "Okay, fine, we need you." Or who?
Even that, I just don't see that. I just don't see a guy like Jack Campbell doing that because every report indicates he wants term.
Well, he's 32 though. Right?
He wants
31?
like 5 years. He wants at least 5 years. Every report I'm reading says that he wants 5 years at least.
Would you be mad if Buffalo did that?
I would be very mad if Buffalo did that because I also think Jack Campbell is pretty like average. So like I'm not giving an average goalie 5 years.
Yeah, I like Husso a lot. There's a guy. He's 27. He's a guy you can give 5 years maybe, but then again, you're blocking. It's not like the NFL. You just cut contracts after a while.
It's the same thing. Like, are you blocking? Like, if you're giving Billy Husso 5 years, then you're basically blocking Luukkonen from ever getting the chance to be the guy as well. And then who knows?
So you like the approach Buffalo's doing here?
Maybe I like the approaches. I just it's hard to justify giving goalies such long-term deals too.
Any goalie, yeah.
Any goalie, really. I mean, so unless you have a guy who's who's like a top 10 goalie in the league, then yeah, you could justify it.
Yep.
But the league's moving into an area where you have to develop your own goalie. You have to. You can't just go out and trade for a goalie every 3 years or every 4 years or sign a goalie every 4 years. You can't do that anymore. So they have to develop a guy. And at some point, like you have to know what you have in Luukkonen, and at some point, and then like obviously next season they're gonna have Levi as well.
Yeah, but this coming season, make or break for Luukkonen. If he gets hurt again, then we're gonna talk.
If Luukkonen can't play, I might be done with him after next year.
I think losing Allmark, and we did touch on Holtby, and Frank said, Holtby, would he be a guy would you want to sign here? So any free agents is going to be would they want to sign here? Now, Allmark, though, a lot of people don't realize this 5-on-5, he was a top 10 goalie for the Sabres that year in the NHL at 5-on-5. His problem was our special teams were bad, and it seemed like we were,
Yeah.
But you go back. I don't know. Maybe we should have kept Allmark, and the deal he got in Boston. Buffalo would have been willing to do that, but for some reason, maybe they just tried to move on from Allmark too fast. I don't know. I think they're gonna end up putting all their eggs in a basket. We know they're going hard for goalies out there. I don't know. Is there a starter out there that a team would be willing to trade because their backups are they take over? See, there's so many things. I just don't know the goalies on other teams really as well. No. Yeah, I couldn't even tell you. What about Seattle? What about one of their goalies? No.
I mean,
they had a good one.
Grubauer was awful last season.
I know.
Drieger had a really bad injury, so he's coming off of a really. I think he was coming off a really bad knee injury. I think, and the only other goalie they have is Joey Decorn, and he's okay, but that's about. But nothing really to justify trading for them, any one of them.
Right. Um, I don't know. Maybe we get a goalie like Kings will throw us quick because they need to make some or a team like that like they needs to make some cap space. Give us their goalie for a pick or maybe one of the prospects. I don't know. Adams has his hands cut out. I believe this that if they can get a just above average goaltending this year, if they can get just above average, and they were so bad last year. And Anderson was good, but he was bad. If that makes sense, he had good for us. He
He
was
had his
good, but
moments.
he had moments, but it just seemed like it. Was and then he got hurt too. Everyone got hurt here. If we can get just above average goalie, I think in March, I'm gonna say March because I think we're back to like this coming year. We'll be back to the normal season
Yeah.
of okay. March we could still be in the talk over the playoff hunt. And with 6 weeks to go, maybe like 8 points back would be great. Again, people say, well, we were 25. It's a lot to make up. Well, yeah, but you got to remember how we finished the last 2 months. We were one of the top teams with the top point getters. You ain't going to do that all year. But if you have a nice start, a decent middle, and a hot finish, you're there. And you're going to beat some of those teams that were in front of you. That doubles the points down. Washington's getting older. Pittsburgh seems like they're trying to go with the same team. They're getting older. Definitely Malkin's not the same. Boston, I don't know what's up with Boston.
Who knows what
They have a lot
Boston's
of
doing?
injuries. Huh?
Who knows what Boston's doing
Right.
in general?
So, you really don't know. I think the only teams that are safe to say, Tampa Bay, who knows who's going to be on that team next year? Maybe they said, fine, we had 2 cups and then we had a final cup run. Maybe it's time to break down a bit. I think the only for sure fire really good teams in the conference next year would be Carolina, Florida, and Toronto. Tampa will probably still be good, but you don't know. The Rangers were really good, but no one expected that. Unless why goaltending, they're not going to get that again. Sneaky Joe brought up it's very rare in the last 10 years. He said no goal is repeated how good he was. All the goalies had those years. They haven't like in the following year they weren't even like top 15 goalie. If he falls apart for the Rangers, Rangers are in trouble.
That team goes downhill.
Who are we better than who can we be better than our conference? Let's start in our division. Can we be better than Detroit this year, record wise? Points wise? Okay.
Yes.
Ottawa?
Yeah.
Montreal?
Yeah.
Okay, that's probably it from our division. Maybe Boston. Again, Boston, Tampa Bay,
that's potential.
Right. No way for Florida, no way for Toronto. Right?
Or Tampa. Right? I think Tampa's going to be really good next year still. I wouldn't be surprised if I would not be surprised if they made another cup run next year.
Yeah, well, they got cap issues too, and they can only cheat for so many years.
They just traded McDonough, so that solves a lot of it.
Where did he go?
Nashville.
I read that. Nashville. All right, so there's our division. Now let's look at the other division there. We got Carolina?
No.
Islanders?
Maybe.
I'm trying to. I got everybody in our division, right? Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Let's see. Rangers?
Maybe.
Washington?
Maybe.
Pittsburgh?
I'm going to say no.
All right. Who am I missing over there? Devils?
Yes.
That's everybody? That's a
Columbus.
Trifecta? Oh, Columbus.
I would say yes for Columbus and yes for Philly.
All right. So could we be top? Could we be a wild card team?
Potentially.
If we get just above average goaltending. Am I going to mention goalie's name? And you think we have the scoring to do so?
I think that's gonna be a bigger determination than goaltending.
Really?
Because they're gonna be relying on guys like Jack Quinn, Krebs, maybe Middlestats here, maybe Olofsson's back. They're Paterka potentially too, to be stepping in and providing a lot of depth scoring for them along with. And you also gotta hope that Tage Thompson doesn't regress a lot. Skinner doesn't regress a lot. You get a full season of Alex Tuck. I think they're expecting big things from Dylan Cousins next season. So, and then where's the points coming in on defense as well?
Powerson, Dahlin's probably going to take off. I think we're going to see Dahlin really. Everyone said, well, he always has a strong start or always finishes strong. No, he never finished like that. His season people say, oh, he always finishes strong. Never like that. He's always finished better than how he started. But you saw, I believe, the coming of Dahlin. I think what we see is he could be in Norris talk. I'm not kidding. I'm not saying Yeah, I'm not saying he'll finish top three, but I'm saying he will be talked about because today the Norris Trophy is not about playing defense, it's about how many points he gives a defenseman. They need to get a new award for that because the Norris Trophy days of like when you had Tim Horton and Ray Bork, those are gone. So now you got to score the points to get it. So yeah, I think our defense is probably pretty solid. You have three 22-year-olds and you have Power 18. Who knows how good he's going to be. It's going to be incredible. I'm hoping he's really good. Our defense, right. I don't mind if I have to win 5-4 every night. If our
No.
goalies, I take that every day of the week. 5-4 would be fun, but I don't know if we'll get that very often, but we were doing it late, but we couldn't beat Boston. We just see we couldn't beat, and it was kind of like we were beating up on the lesser likes that in our realm, but we weren't beating the really good teams. Luckily, we don't play them that much, so.
Yeah, but that's why I'm looking at it. I think it's a lot more key for the offense to take off next season that will determine how the Sabres do in the standings. Just because like goaltending is just such a wild card already, just the position itself that they could trade for John Gibson and he could win the Vezina next season, but the team could still miss the playoffs because they can't score.
Right.
So or they could trade for James Reimer and Reimer could have a 9-18 season and play, 45 games. And if the team doesn't improve in the standings, well, goaltending's not the reason then. They got the goaltending, they just couldn't score. So I just look at that and I think being able to score is just more important than being able to get saves just because you don't know if you're even going to get saves. You could, like I said, they could trade for Gibson, they could trade for Reimer, and it could be a disaster. But you tried. Like that's really all you can do. You can't get Andrei Vasilevsky every night. You can't get Shesterkin. You can't get Sorokin. You can't get Saros every night. You just gotta hope that you get a guy who could provide some consistency. That's really it. So,
You want to take this question from Matt?
Nolan Patrick, huh? As a fourth line center, sure. I'd be okay with that. But
what happened to him? He was like a major prospect coming out.
He lost like 2 years. He lost like 2 years of his career because of concussion issues.
That's sad. Kind of like Brett Lindros.
Yeah, like
their career goes
there's
away.
really nothing much more. He never could develop properly because he wasn't playing. He had a solid rookie year, and that just never could, and that just stagnated. And he got a concussion or two, and he missed like almost 2 years. So, like I said, if they brought him in as to be the fourth line center, sure, but that's about it.
All right, let's take I kind of forgot. We're going to take our sponsor site, obviously, is John and Mary Subs, a very good subs over here in Alden. If you stop into a John and Mary's, the one in Alden has to be just ask for Andy and say, hey, Ranting Ron sent me. Maybe I'll take care of you. And also, we have Dinosaur Barbecue. Man, it's very good. Very, very good, delicious barbecue. They're down on Main Street in Buffalo. I think it's on Main Street in Buffalo. I think just go on either way. And, of course, they're located in different parts of Syracuse and Rochester. So we'll be right back. All right, we got just 13 minutes here. We talked a lot of hockey, me and Frank, and this is it tomorrow night. I'll be out with a couple of guys. We'll be at David and Adams out on Transit Road in Sheridan, and that will be it for me for the season. I'm a little going late this year only because the season went late, obviously. Frank, you've been a great coach this year. I believe you want to still do some shows this summer. You're more than welcome to. Obviously, if you need help getting guests, I'll do that. I just got to take some time off here. I don't, I'll be back and after tomorrow. I'll be back in September, but I'm sure Frank will be on a little bit this summer. He's having way too much fun with it. I do. I love it too, but it's like I need a little bit of a break too and kind of rewind myself, wind down a little bit. And then we'll be a full go ready for September with with football too and the Bills starting and stuff, and that's fun. But I want to switch gears a little bit here. So, you watch Stranger Things, Frank?
I watched like the first couple seasons, and then that's it. I don't. I really don't watch TV shows all that much. Like I hardly ever watch Netflix and everything.
All right, because you say the Stranger. I'm in season 4, and there's been 9 episodes, right? So the first 7 came out at one time, and then last
Yeah.
Friday the last 2, and the number 8, like 40 a half hour, 45 minutes. The number 8 was like an hour and a half. So last night I sit down, I'm gonna watch this last one. It's been out for a little while, since Friday, but I'm gonna sit down and watch it. It's 9 o'clock. I know it's like an hour or something now. I'm sitting there. It was like 9:30. And I sit there, and my son sits down, and he's like, "Oh, this is the best part." I go, "Yeah, it's almost over." And this one's 2.5 hours. I'm like, Jesus, what? And I'm into it, but I'm like, oh, I gotta go up so early. So I only got through halfway of it. I say, but Stranger Things is really, I can't believe I'm watching it. It's like really weird. It's like well, it's not scary, but I can't explain it. So if you have a chance, 4 is well, you got to get back into it, Frank. It's kind of cool. What about the Star Wars stuff going on Disney? You watching any of them?
I watched the movies. Like I watched the 7th, 8th, and 9th
Yeah. Did
movies.
you watch like Obi-Wan and all them?
No, I don't have.
Oh,
I'm not able to.
oh, you're
I
not.
don't have like. I think it's what on Disney
Yeah,
Plus.
Disney Plus. You on Disney
I don't
Plus?
have Disney Plus.
Oh, who's your phone carrier?
Uh, T-Mobile.
Verizon?
No, T-Mobile.
Ah, oh, maybe because with Verizon, I don't know. I'm gonna say Verizon. You could get with Verizon, you get Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus for free. It's part of
Yeah,
your package. It's free. It's like no, it's really cool. So that's why I'll get it. So you don't you have a friend with Disney Plus? I'll give you their password. I got like 500 people on my using my.
probably,
Yeah, get
probably.
somebody. You got all these. These have been really good. These episodes of, if Steve was on with us, I thought I was in Star Wars. He's really into Star Wars. My guest a couple weeks ago, we and her were talking Star Wars a little bit. So, okay. Well, then that goes. I was going to talk about these. You watch Marvel, right? The Thor's coming out.
Oh yeah, I'm planning
All
on
right.
probably seeing the new Thor movie. I
Have
think
you
like
seen the
on
new?
Sunday.
Did you? Yeah, I'm gonna go Saturday morning. I'm taking my kid. He wants to go out to AMC because they're giving out some big Thor hammer mug or
Yeah.
something at the AMC out there, Maple. Did you go see Doctor Strange's new one?
Oh yeah.
What did you think? I thought it was pretty
I thought
blast.
it
Yeah,
was okay. I thought it was okay.
yeah.
Okay at best.
It was
I
it's confusing.
It's not only it's confusing. I was just like, why, like, like if we're gonna talk spoilers, I mean,
Hey, listen, it's been out two
spoilers.
weeks. There's no
It's
spoilers after 2 weeks.
yeah,
All
yeah,
right,
pretty much.
in 5
But
seconds, we're gonna talk. 5, 4. If you haven't seen it, get off. 3, 2, 1, go.
all right, the whole plot for
We have 0
Wanda
followers.
just the whole plot for Wanda just makes no sense to me. Like she wants a family and everything. I get it. I get that. She wants to be a mom because she in her universe she's not a mom and she wants to be a mom. I get it. But why do you have to go to other universes where she's in it and alive and take and essentially kill herself in that universe so that she could take over and be a
Oh.
mom? Just find a universe where she's not alive and
Because
she
it
still
was,
has kids and just take over there.
but she has the evil inside her. That's where
Yeah,
what
I
the
know,
controlling
but
was.
that's
So
where I know, but and like all that builds up and everything, and I get it, but it just doesn't make sense because like, why are you ending another person's life to take their life, even though it's you, when you could just find it? She could go to any universe, so find a
yeah.
universe where she's not where herself in that universe isn't around,
Is there a
and
universe like that for her? Maybe there's not one. I mean, she's alive and everything. It's just weird. Why isn't she alive? And I don't know. I don't know
then
where
in
Marvel
her
was
own
going with
universe,
this.
just adopt two kids. Then
Right. I don't know
like,
where Marvel was
why
going with
is that?
this.
Like, I don't. Well,
I don't know. I'm with
it
you.
was all building up from WandaVision and everything.
Yeah.
I get it, but it just the whole thing just makes no sense. It's just if she
Going
can't
into
find a
it.
universe where
Yeah.
her kids are don't have a mom and she can't, be a mom in there, then in her own universe, just adopt two kids. That's it.
Right.
Like there you go. You're a mom. Yeah, it's not
But
your kids
the
from
evil in
that
her
are
doesn't
your
let it. But the evil in her needs to kill. So
evil.
you know.
Yeah, sure.
I
But
don't know.
it just doesn't
It's
make
the only answer I
sense.
would have. It right. It was very confusing because it starts off too fast. Like right away, it's going, whoa, you jumped right into it, almost like the second Avengers movie where as soon as it starts in the middle of a war. It's like, wait, what just happened here? And you have to catch up. I thought the little digs on Spider-Man was pretty funny in there when the girl's like, "What doesn't the Spider-Man? What, did he look like a spider? Was he icky?" It was so funny. I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right,"
Yeah.
because no one remembers him. So, but the new
Well, no,
Spider-Man's
it's
coming
people
out.
remember Spider-Man. People know who Spider-Man is. They just the whole thing from the last Spider-Man movie was people don't know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Oh, okay, all right. And
They know they know who Spider-Man is. They
Right.
know him. They just don't
Yeah.
know that Peter Parker is him because that was a
That's
whole
true.
plot that was revealed in
Yeah.
like the end of the second
But
movie.
he must not exist in every universe because this girl did not know who he was.
Yeah.
It
Oh
kind of
yeah.
broke my heart. That broke that ending of that ending of that Spider-Man kind of it hurt me a bit. I thought that was a great couple. You know, I mean, I liked her better with him than the guy on the show Greatest Showman. Have you seen Greatest Showman?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's in that movie,
Yeah.
and she's a lot. Like, I'm surprised. She's like, they're both a little bit older, you know. But who's your favorite Spider-Man?
Uh,
Which actor?
I grew up with um the very first three. Who is it?
No, two. What's his name? My
Tobey
gosh.
Maguire.
Yeah, Tobey Maguire. I had it,
Yeah.
and he messed me up. Yep.
Um, but I think Tom Holland has been the best Spider-Man so far.
See, a lot of people like.
Just because he provides that youthful energy that because it's not only
Yeah.
just Spider-Man, it's Peter Parker as well. He's a great Peter Parker because he's
Yeah.
got the youthful energy.
Yeah.
He's
Which is
got
what he's supposed to be.
yeah, he's exactly what Peter Parker's supposed to be. And then even as Spider-Man too, like he brings it every movie, every scene he's in, he just brings it. I think you can make the argument that Tobey Maguire is a better Spider-Man than Tom Holland is, and maybe even Andrew Garfield too.
My
Maybe.
sons like Andrew Garfield the best. They thought he was the best one in Amazing Spider-Man. I don't know. They related to him better, I guess. I don't know. I
Yeah,
thought,
and that's fair.
yeah,
I just think Tom Holland just doesn't has just done has portrayed the character, portrayed the
yeah.
hero a lot better.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the whole high school, the whole, everything, that right. And I like that they use a young Aunt May and not the older lady Aunt May. I just think,
Yeah,
not because that's probably like a grandmother to him. Then like, that's not really an aunt. Otherwise, his mother was that old. So none of
yeah,
yeah, it's and now I guess I believe he's doing the next three also, right? I love how they brought now again we're doing spoilers on Spider-Man, folks. If you haven't seen it, that's way your fault. How they brought all three into the last one. It was
that was
just
fun.
great. It
It was
was
fun.
fun. It was fun. I was at the theater and people were clapping when they came back. And yeah, in real life, and Tobey Gordon making fun of himself, he goes, "Oh, my back," because in real life he hurt
Yeah.
his back, and that's why he's not doing it no more. But I guess Sony signed up. They were supposed to give it back to Marvel, but I guess Sony decided to sign up for three more movies, so Marvel does not get them back yet. That's why you don't get to see um, Spider-Man on Disney Plus because
Yeah.
Marvel does not own it, and that's kind of weird. But they'll let them be part of the movie. So whatever. I don't know. I think Japan bought the rights to Spider-Man or something.
Well,
So
we still got the Spider-Verse movies too.
yeah. So
Those are
yeah,
the animated ones, the
yeah.
Miles Morales. So those ones I'm excited for.
Yeah, I love when people say, "Oh, they made too many. When are they gonna stop?" Well, if you don't, no one said you gotta watch them. Oh,
Not only that,
General
they're gonna keep
Hospital's still on.
they're gonna keep making them as long as they're making money.
That's right. And you just know why
You
end
keep
their
going to
movies.
watch them, so they're
That's
gonna keep
right. You
making them.
look forward, right? I
They're
mean,
not gonna stop just because they don't want to anymore. They got no more ideas.
yep,
They'll come up with something.
yep.
It
My
might
kids
not be
will.
good, but they'll come up with something.
That's right. And they're for the most part good. Now I haven't gone. I don't go to movies too often. I'm gonna go see Thor movies. My son wants me to take him, but me and him are going to see all. Like we just saw. Oh boy, I'm so bad on this. The movie with a Vengeance. What's his name? The Black Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, that's the Spider-Verse movies. Like,
No, it was just out recently.
uh,
Two parts. The guy he eats people.
oh
Like
Venom.
Venom. Yeah, Venom with a Vengeance. Like I took him, so we'll go see movies. Like he'll pick a
Yeah, I
movie.
saw both of those ones. Yeah,
Yeah. Once in a while, once a month, he wants me to take him. So we'll go see. Like we saw The Fall. Do you see that movie, The Fall Man or The Fall Guy? We saw that. Not Marvel, but it was kind of funny. But or Free Guy. That's what it's called, Free Guy.
Free Guy. Okay. I
Fall
didn't
Guy. That
see
was a
that
TV
though.
show. That's just a fun movie, but that's I think on Netflix now. But yeah, but most times I'll wait till they come out because already like uh the newest Doctor Strange is already on. After 30 days after the movie it comes out on TV that fast. So I
Oh
don't
yeah,
I have a hard time paying $12 for a movie. So you know. So I think that's a wrap, man. Again, I'm gonna be out there. If anyone wants to come and visit us at Dave and Adams over on Transit Road on Sheridan Drive, Transit Road, the old Eastern Hills Mall. I don't even know what that is anymore over there. We'll be there from 5:30 to 7. I know Frank, you can get off from work, but next year, man, we'll do.
yeah.
Or later in the summer, we'll get out on the road. Um, and that's it. You're gonna be, you're gonna still be here for a few times in the summer, once or twice a month, but So folks, the Randy Cast will still go on, and I'll be back after tomorrow. I'll be back in September, unless Frank invites me on. You never know. Frank, would you invite me on?
Potentially.
Potentially. All right. Well, I got some guests I want to come on and talk to you. I'm trying to get a few people that I know you never know till the last minute. I say, hey, I got a guest for you. You want to go on? Real quick. I didn't hear what was the total from the 11-day power play. Did you hear? I never heard.
Oh, it was like over $1.2 million raised.
Great. You had Amy Lestakowski on a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
That
it
was
was a
great.
lot of fun.
And you did not play this year. You a little old. Is that the problem here?
No, I just couldn't because my buddy Derek Kramer.
Yep.
I was going to play, but his shift was during a time when I was out of town.
Oh, that's okay. That's right, because not everyone plays all 11 days anymore. Now they've really broken it down to get more people playing.
They break the
which
shifts
is
down
good.
into community shifts and everything. So
I could probably literally do one shift, like literally go out one shift, get off. I'd be done. I'm old. I'm gonna be 54 this month, man. I'm getting up there. So, hey, there you go. Ask Derek Kramer to come on here with you sometime. You can invite your guys. If anybody out there's watching and want to come on, Frank's here all summer. He's a great guy. He is the voice, the summertime voice of the Ranting Cast. Frank, thank you so much, man. You are great.
Thank
Everybody, this has been the Ranting Cast, episode 14. I was going to call them volumes now, right? Like next year will be like volume 3 for 2023. We just had a lot of fun. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter. We're just out there. We're always going to be on YouTube, though. Once you go on YouTube, it never goes away. Everybody, this has been the Ranting Cast. Adios.